All right, Mob, welcome back. And we have got a great show tonight as we're on Brant's Breaking Point. And guys, if you remember the kind of like the little show we did yesterday, you notice we had our tournament, our 16 greatest college football players of all time. And tonight, Brant Feinbaum is going to rank those guys from 16 to 1. And that's why on the promo this morning, I said he's going to say some crazy stuff because he's going to have this in some crazy order. I bet he's got Tim Tebow, number 16. I just know it. All right, so let's do this. Let's go over the names real quick, and then we'll let the star of the show get on with his list. We had Reggie Bush, Deshaun Watson, Cam Newton, Deion Sanders, Derrick Henry, Adrian Peterson, Joe Burrow, Peyton Manning, Baker Mayfield, Hershel Walker, Johnny Manziel, Bo Jackson, Archie Griffin, Tim Tebow, Barry Sanders, Vince Young. All right, Brant, I'm ready for you to piss somebody off. So let's start at number 16. Who you got?
So before I go, I want y'all to know, I want the mob to know that this was the most difficult list I've ever had to put together because all these guys are insane. I mean, they're all insane athletes. They all had crazy stats of some sort, but it's just not the Brant ranking, so I'm about to give it to you. All right, I'm about to let you know how I truly feel about these players.
Quit kissing ass and let's go.
So we're just gonna number 16. I have Deion Sanders. Okay. Now, not that Deion was a bad player. I mean, he was great on defense, great return man. He didn't really play much offense. So his offensive stats were, obviously pretty flimsy. But obviously, when we do our bracket is strictly college. There's no professional, motive brought into it. Otherwise, Deion Sanders had to be top 5 greatest athlete of all time on this list. But that's it for him. Number 15. Now, this is where I'm going to start. Here it is. Okay. I have Peyton Manning. So I have Peyton Manning here. Look. I have Peyton Manning here. I did everything I could to want to put him higher. And I swear, Tennessee fans, your logo has nothing to do with it. Okay. It's just, he had 11,000 yards in two starting seasons. And if I read this number correctly, he had 89 passing touchdowns in 2 years, which I get it. It's crazy. I just think the people above him established more for what they did. And obviously, for some, maybe that won't come quite clear to you because I know for sure 2 above him that only really had one dominant season. But that dominant season obviously just meant more at that time. So I have Peyton Manning at 15.
Hey, before you go, I just want to point this out. I don't think he ever beat Florida. And number 2, I think they won the national championship the year after he left. So, not bad. I
appreciate you, Chad. Help me out.
I'm trying to help you, man.
Number 14, I have Adrian Peterson. So, 4,045 yards rushing is obviously nuts. Did it at Oklahoma, back in Oklahoma's, I think they were Big 12. Back when they were Big 12. Oklahoma's always a good. I'm pretty sure his freshman season was probably one of the best freshman seasons of all time. Especially coming out of Adrian Peterson at 14. But, when it comes to the other running backs I have kind of ahead of him, I would say that you really can't pick one that can kind of be put under him, except for this next guy I'm about to name, but you'd have a heck of an argument on your hands, especially with those folks out in California. Because at number 13, I have Reggie Bush. Dynamic athlete. See, people think about Reggie Bush, they automatically think about the 3,000 rushing yards he had. But now I wrote this down also because I didn't even know this. Reggie Bush had 1,300 receiving yards. As a running back, that's crazy. Would have 1,300 receiving yards. Heisman winner as well. He's just hard to put below Adrian Peterson, and I just couldn't figure out a way to do it. So I have Reggie Bush at my 13. So at my 12, I have Vince Young. And, honestly, he was the hero in the national championship game, the 2005 national championship game. He did exactly what we expected Vince Young to do in that moment, was, excel. We're down a little couple of stats for all these guys as well. So, this guy had 9,167 total yards. As a quarterback at Texas, which obviously is nuts. My thing with Vince Young is Obviously, he had a lot of yards, but we all know, especially because I went back and watched some of his film, he was a little inconsistent beginning of his season at Texas. But he ended up putting it up together around game 4 and 5 and ended up obviously becoming, Vince Young, we all know. So I have Vince Young on my 12th. So at 11, I have Derrick Henry. Now, it was really hard to put him in. It was really hard for me not to put him higher, but it was also really hard for me not to put him lower because he had less yards than Adrian Peterson. But when I think about a defensive lineman running the football, I think about Derrick Henry, and he was just unstoppable. It felt like every time we handed it off to him, we knew he was going to get at least 6. And that's crazy with a running back in the SEC at that time, especially when Alabama was really at their peak dominant form back when Derrick Henry was there. And I love his little podcast clip where they talk about him in the Big Ten. He goes, 38-0 to Michigan State. So I got Derrick Henry at my 11. Also Heisman, one season, 119 yards rushing. It's crazy. So number 10, and now people are going to be shocked to have this guy this high, but when I looked into this guy's stats, he deserved it. And I know people are going to say, conference crutch. I got Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson had some of the best stats I've read all day. But 10,108 passing yards, 90 passing touchdowns in his years at Clemson, and he was a national champion. It's clean cut, guys. That's crazy from a quarterback in Clemson. And I'm not going to listen to the conference crutch thing. Okay, I get it. He played in the ACC, and there's probably 4 or 5 good teams there. I get it. But, to put up those numbers against anybody is crazy.
Hey, and let's be honest, he put up probably 800 yards against Alabama in 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Alabama had a decent defense those 2 years.
Now, you can flip-flop these next 2. I just put them in the order I felt when it came to overall dominance. Number 9, I have Cam Newton. So Cam Newton was one of the greatest single-season athletes we've ever seen. And I'm not saying single season as in he didn't go on to the NFL and do well. He obviously did. He went to a freaking Super Bowl. But we're not including pro football here. We're including college. His senior season at Auburn, he was dominant. And obviously people want to talk about look at the acceleration clip of him, speed boosting. But us Alabama fans in that Iron Bowl are haunted for life. That guy came back and beat the hell out of us. So it's like, you got to put Cam Newton there. 4,300 total yards, 50 touchdowns, a Heisman, and a national championship on his belt in one season. That's crazy. So at 8, I have Joe Burrow. So I put Joe Burrow above him. And look, I want to point this out to all these LSU people who are going to be like, why is he not higher? Because he had one of the single greatest seasons a quarterback could ever have, especially running through the SEC. Guys, I remember when Joe Burrow was quarterback at LSU the year before that. Okay. And I think they went 6-5 and got, those 5 losses that were not close losses. So, he got dealt a good hand with the receiver the next year. And I'm not saying that he had a receiver crutch either. He did. He had to throw the ball to him to get yards. He had Joe Brady come in too. And I feel like that was kind of Ed Orgeron's high at LSU. So I feel like all of that rolled up together really, really boosted him. It helped his play out a ton. So, ton of credit to Joe Burrow. 5,671 passing yards in a season. 60 touchdowns, Heisman, and the national champion. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, the most voted Heisman in history. It was not even close. So, Joe Burrow, and I hate they even invited the other 3 guys. They should just let them stay at home.
That was a no-brainer.
You flew those guys out there and made them waste their time.
Stevie Wonder saw that coming.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll say something real quick. I don't, and this is my only thing with Newton and Burrow. I would have I like your list. I'm not going to complain about it. It's your list. But I'm thinking Cam Newton did not have the offense that Burrow did. Burrow had 2 NFL wide receivers, and he had an NFL running back. Now, I don't know that he's still starting in the NFL, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But that dude had he had, like I said, 2 of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now.
Cam Newton, very good point.
Yeah, that's just my small point. But
no, very good point. Completely understood. Like I said, man, you can flip flop those guys. So this is where kind of my top 7 was. It was tough. I had really had to sit there and rack my brain. But at 7, I have Johnny Manziel. He got Bama. He almost got us a second time. Beat us in Tuscaloosa. I mean, you want to talk about dynamic. I think he kind of invented the word for quarterbacks. I felt like Johnny Manziel started that new quarterback era where they could run and throw well both at the same time. You know, they're not one-dimensional. I feel like Johnny Manziel was the key for that. And don't forget, guys, the harder he partied, the better he played. Okay, you don't find that much. But I mean, Johnny Manziel, 9,989 total yards, the only ever freshman Heisman. That's also pretty nuts.
Glad you brought
Not to
that up.
mention, pop quiz question for you in the mob, Chad. Who's the only team Johnny Manziel didn't beat in his tenure in the SEC at Texas A&M?
Ooh, almost want to say Auburn. Was it
You're
Auburn?
incorrect. LSU.
LSU. Okay.
The only team he never beat. So I had Johnny Manziel at my 7. It's 6. I have Bo Jackson. Now, obviously, we know what Bo Jackson is capable of. And I hate that I couldn't include the NFL because obviously he'd be higher. And that his ability to switch sports to go to baseball and also be as strong to break a wooden bat over his head is 2 crazy feats.
Well, hold on. Before we get into that bat was already broke. That myth was busted. Now, is it impressive? Hell yeah, it's impressive. I couldn't do it. But the bat was broke. So let's go ahead.
Regardless, dominant running back. I mean, probably one of the hardest people to tackle in NCAA history. Just had a meanness about him that you couldn't get him down, and he was going to make you have to fight for him to get him down. So I got Bo Jackson my 6.
And real quick, and he had 2 of the best calls, or the best two of the best name plays against Alabama. You had Bo over the top and over the rainbow.
Yeah.
So before your time, but go on.
Number 5, and I found it very difficult not to put this guy higher, and I have a soft spot for this guy because he's probably one of my favorite college quarterbacks to ever exist. Number 5, I got Baker Mayfield. I mean, I love the Baker Mayfield story. He got ran out of Texas Tech by Patrick Mahomes. I heard, I can't remember if this is true or not. I'm pretty sure he walked on to Oklahoma. They didn't even give him a scholarship yet. He leaves Texas Tech, transfers to Oklahoma, walks on, walks in Stoops' office, tells him, I'm going to be the greatest decision you ever made. Wins a Heisman, almost wins a second, and dominated everybody. Still one of the greatest college football playoff games we've watched with him in Georgia in the Rose Bowl. Baker Mayfield, man, I had a real soft spot for him. Great quarterback, be able to move. And obviously he knows how to grab his crotch at Kansas players.
Oh, hey, hold on. Before you move on, let's talk about that game. Do you know why he did that against Kansas?
I thought it was because they wouldn't shake his hand.
It was. He went to go shake their hands. They had their hands behind their back, wouldn't shake them. And all he did was put up, probably 500 yards of offense on them and embarrassed them. So
I love it, man.
Good job,
I love
Kansas.
the intensity of the sport.
Yeah.
But I do remember that game because I remember he was like halfway mic'd up too. And he was like, go back to basketball. Anyway, Baker Mayfield, 14,607 passing yards. 131 touchdowns and a Heisman Trophy to his name. Great career from him. Baker, if you ever watch this, I hope you do. Shoot me a DM. I'll shoot you my address. You send me something signed. Number 4, I got Hershel Walker. When I think about Hershel Walker, I think about the 30 for 30 I watched about Hershel Walker when I was growing up as a kid. I'll never forget it, man. Me and my parents went to O'Charlie's and sat at the bar down here in Alabama, and they had the 30 for 30 about Hershel Walker on, and I was just watching as a kid. My parents were sitting there talking to me, not paying a lick of attention, and all it was is a little 30 for 30 about how good he was and how he got to where he was. This dude used to race a train. He used to race a train. He said, until I beat that train, one day I will not stop training. No pun intended. He eventually beats the train, and he becomes the monster Georgia running back, obviously, and not political official, the Georgia running back that we know. 1,259 rushing yards, 49 touchdowns, a Heisman, and a national championship to his name. A lot of accolades that people just don't really get. So top 3, here we are. And obviously people are going to know by my number 3 that it was quite difficult for me to put this person here, strictly school-based. Number 3, I got Archie Griffin. Now obviously I'm not as old as my fellow podcasters on this show.
I've never seen him play in college, so don't even.
So, it was really tough for me to put him this high, but when I looked up his stats, I just couldn't. I mean, you can't deny it. I mean, the only person ever won 2 Heismans. Yards. I mean, he played in the Big Ten. He played in a tough conference. It was a tough conference then. It's a tough conference now. Got to put him in his top 3. Number 2, I got Barry Sanders. 2,628 rushing yards. One of the most dominant single seasons as a running back we've ever seen in football. And obviously, Barry Sanders, for my time, I had to go try and find a lot of stuff for this list for him. 2,628 rushing yards, 37 touchdowns, and a Heisman Trophy to his name. I mean, Oklahoma State, I don't know if they've had anybody, a quarterback, a running back, receiver, anybody that dominant ever. And they might not ever have somebody that dominant, have a single season that dominant ever again. So I'm sorry that Oklahoma State kind of peaked really early. But I mean, that's a heck of a guy to have as a tenured there.
Hey, real quick, who was his backfield mate?
I know that.
It's another Hall of Famer.
I had no idea.
Thurman Thomas.
Yeah. I'm 26, man.
You should know that.
Nope. Number 1.
Mob, hold on. Mob, I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize right now. Forgive him for he has sinned, for he knows not what he says. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Number 1, Tim Tebow. Now, I can speak a little bit on some Tim Tebow, but I want to talk about the leadership capability a person has on the field and off the field. Tim Tebow was the sole person for that. This dude led the team. He owned up to the losses. Everybody respected him. He was a lefty, and this dude would run clean over you. I mean, he didn't care about running out of bounds or running around you. That didn't matter to him. He had one goal, and that goal was to get to that end zone, and he was going to do it. And it's the same way, and I know that people really underrate this guy when he went to Alabama. Jake Coker had the exact same mindset. Jake Coker, there was nothing stopping Jake Coker from getting to the end zone. Okay. And I love that. But Tim Tebow was just on another level. Granted, I know half of that team is like arrested or in prison. But I mean, the fact that he was able to keep those guys organized and lead a team like that is even more impressive.
Lord.
I'm not even kidding. I'm pretty sure like 20% of that team is in prison. That's not even a joke. I'm pretty sure that's a stat.
I'm not doubting it. I'm not doubting it.
But Tim Tebow and his ability to lead was insurmountable. 9,285 passing yards. And if you think that's not impressive, don't worry. He made up for it with 2,947 rushing yards and 145 total touchdowns, 2 national championships, and a Heisman Trophy to his name. I mean, that is an insane college experience. I mean, I can't even imagine that. And then obviously, his career didn't pan out the way he wanted it to, in the NFL. But all I'm saying is the Broncos did him wrong. I'll stand by that. But anyway, Tim Tebow is my number 1, the greatest college athlete I've ever watched personally. And he's number 1 on my list.
Hey, let's think about probably the most iconic picture of him. Like when you think of Tim Tebow, what image? Because I have one in particular. One image of him, and it ain't what you think. It ain't him crying when Alabama. I'm not stooping to that level. I'm talking about the game against Florida State at Florida State when he dove into the end zone for the touchdown and he came up and it looked like he had blood all over his face. Man, if that isn't the epitome of college football right there. I mean, you've got your heated rivals paint smeared all over your face and your jersey. You come up looking like a warrior and you just beat the snot out of them. I mean, that to me, that's one of the most iconic pictures I've ever seen in college football. What you think?
I agree with you. I definitely thought you were going to go the crying route.
No.
That's the way you were going to go.
Now, the Chad 20 years ago would have rubbed it in, yes, but I've matured and I've grown since then. And I respect him too much as a player and as a person to bring that up.
I'm about to say, look, no matter who you root for, man, everybody loves Tim Tebow.
Yeah. Yeah, and you also kind of you want people on your team who that the moment means that much to them. And there was nobody on that field, Alabama players included, who who let their feelings out like that, like Tebow did. And you knew that he was wanting to win. He was a winner. He's still a winner.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yep.
mean, that's to me, people like saying, don't cry, like there's no crying in baseball or whatever. But sometimes, the emotion is just there. I remember AJ McCarron crying after an LSU game back in 2012 or whatever year 2012 after that game because they came back and won it. So, yeah, I mean, he was a great leader and a great player.
Yeah, I mean, heck, a lot of teams these days need a Tim Tebow. Hell, I can speak for Alabama. We need a Tim Tebow. We need somebody to step up and take the reins and take as much blame and consideration as that guy did. And that guy took a lot of hate too, man. I mean, look, Alabama fans gave him hell back in the day. And he did never faltered, never changed him at all, man. That guy is a stand-up guy. And if you don't like Tim Tebow, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, and that goes for Alabama fans. That goes back the year before in 2008 at that SEC championship game. We were up 20-17 going into the fourth quarter, and Tebow they scored 2 touchdowns in the last. They held us scoreless. They scored twice. He iced the game. They won 31-20. I mean, it was as an Alabama fan, you go into the third quarter up, you're expecting to win that game, and you don't even score. So I mean, I think he personally took over that. He probably went over to the defense and said, "Hey, get me a stop. We'll score and win." And that defense played lights out in that fourth quarter. All right, Mob. Well, let us know what you think of Brant's list. I thought it was good. It's all subjective. I liked it. There was only just the Cam Newton Burrow, just because Burrow just had he had so much talent around him. Yeah, I mean, but he did make awesome throws all year. He was a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Brant, do you have anything before we go? Because I have a small thing I want to say.
No, I mean, I'm glad that we get the opportunity to do this. Obviously, I don't know, Chad said at the beginning, but obviously, like, subscribe, leave your comments, man. We want to hear everything y'all want to say, and obviously, a lot of it, especially when it comes to rivals, is not good. But because there's a lot of crazy takes that get brought up in that. But we want to hear them. We want to hear what y'all have to say, and don't forget, the guys, about the bracket. The bracket's coming up in May. If y'all have anybody that y'all want to defend, let us know. Message us, tell us, comment on our videos, let us know there's somebody y'all really want to hear about or somebody y'all want to talk about. I mean, that's great. I mean, we love the interaction. We really, really want to hear y'all's guys' voices. So that's pretty much all I got, Chad.
All right, I'm going to take a little swerve here. We're going to talk. I'm going to do just a little bit on college basketball because we're all Alabama fans. We all think Auburn's little brother, but I think Auburn should make the tournament over Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio is 31-1. Hold on, I've got some stats to back it up, Auburn fans. I know you've had a rough month, but you did win 2 in the SEC tournament. And you played damn good against Tennessee today. I know you led by like 7 in the first half and kind of let that one get away. So you're playing better. All right. You went into the Alabama game, you were down by damn near 30 and only lost by 12. So you fought back some. Hey, Auburn's strength of schedule is 4. Right. Miami of Ohio is somewhere in between 270 and 340, depending on where you're looking. Auburn has 4 quad 1 wins. Miami doesn't have any. So, I mean, I understand the feel-good story with Miami of Ohio. You won 31 games, but you played nobody. I mean, I'm going to take up for Auburn because I think they should get in because I think they're a better team.
Okay. So I get a rebuttal on this when you're done?
Yeah, go right ahead.
No, when you're done, I'm going to give a rebuttal.
No, I was just going to bring up the strength of schedule and the quad 1 wins because plus Miami of Ohio just had a quad 4 loss today in their bracket. So their undefeated streak is over. And again, I'm going to say Auburn had 4 quad 1 wins and like 5 or 6 quad 2 wins. So they're battle tested. They've won some games. They've had a hard schedule. So I'm going to stick behind Auburn on this one. Brant, go ahead.
So here's my rebuttal to that. The game of basketball, especially when it comes to anybody that does a March Madness bracket, knows that it is random. If people who knew the game of basketball filled out a March Madness bracket, they would lose every single time. Okay. I told my grandmother that. I said, hey, I want to do a family bracket. You going to put in a bracket? She goes, Brant, I don't know the slightest clue about freaking basketball. I said, well, you probably have the best chance at winning. Okay. Because people who know basketball don't win. And there's a reason for that. It's because basketball is such a random sport. And if a team can go 31-0 and not slip up one time, regardless of who they're playing, because if you're considering their strength of schedule, and obviously it's not good, but if you're considering their strength of schedule, you have to consider the people that are on their team as well. And if they win 31 times in a row without dropping a game, I think they deserve an at-large bid. And obviously, they're not going to get the automatic because they lost in their conference tournament. But I think when it comes to deserving an at-large bid, I think a 31-1 team is pretty hard to deny. And I get it, their strength of schedule is not the best, and they probably will lose first round. I understand that. But I will also defend Auburn because Auburn is a good basketball team. And obviously, I don't believe Pearl is the right coach for them. Okay, I don't believe that he's the coach for Auburn. But I still think Auburn has got a lot more raw talent on their roster. So I obviously think that Auburn could go farther than Miami, Ohio. But I think it depends on the draw, and I think it depends on what you've shown on the court. Obviously, Auburn has proved 4 separate times that they can beat quad 1 teams. But Miami, Ohio also proved to us that they don't lose for 4 or 5 months. So, I mean, it's really difficult to say, but I'll give you one better. What about VCU? I think VCU has not even 10 links above a better strength of schedule than Miami, Ohio has. So, and we need to be talking about them before we talk about Miami, Ohio, who went undefeated through the regular season. I think Auburn should be in the tournament just because I know how good Auburn can be, especially when they're clicking. I mean, for God's sakes, dude, they went down to Gainesville and won. I mean,
Auburn's got the best win of the season.
Yeah,
arguably.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, hey, look at that. So hey, shout out to Alabama. Auburn had the best win of the season, and Alabama had the best game of the season, a double overtime game against Arkansas. So I think that I think Auburn should get in. I know that I think they'd be tied with the biggest at-large team with those losses. I think Texas has 16 losses and got in the tournament once. And I think Auburn has 16 now. So I love to see Auburn in the tournament. Auburn is a great team to watch cause chaos. But I think it's better it would sell. I mean, in the Alabama, Auburn, a national championship, an Iron Bowl for the Natty in basketball. I mean, that would feed families. Okay. And I would love to see it. And obviously that's, we don't want that as Alabama fans because we don't want to be haunted and have to hear about that for 10 years about how they beat us in a national championship in basketball. But man, I love to watch Auburn cause some chaos. So I hope they do get in. I hope they get in that large bid. I think Taha Pettiford was pretty underwhelming for them for most of the season. Everybody expected him to kind of be a takeover guy who's averaging 28 a game, and it just didn't happen. And that's not going to happen in college that much unless you're Cooper Flagg. But I think Auburn did well with their strength of schedule considered, and the fact that they had to go on the road a lot too. So I agree with you on Auburn.
And the only reason why I brought up Miami of Ohio is because it's been on the news and on all the ESPN sites, and there's just been a bunch of comparison because Ohio has such a garbage schedule, and even though Auburn has faltered, but the thing is that Ole Miss loss is probably going to haunt them. Yeah. I think had they won that, I think they'd be in. Yeah, I just think that Ole Miss loss was such a bad loss for them. Yeah. It's hard to come back from that, but they did have 2 good games in the tournament, and we'll see what they do. But I'm hoping they get in. I want the state of Alabama as a whole. Troy will be in, Alabama will be in. If Auburn can get in, that would be great. I'm a huge college basketball guy. I think we can get into that another day. But for now, we are done with Brant's Breaking Point. Mob, let us know what you think of his top 16. I thought it was good. I kind of feel Tebow is probably the best. It's a great list by Brant. Guys, we will see you on our next show for Brant Feinbaum. I am Chad saying we will see you later.